Did you hear or see anyone in the corridor while you were talking?
Let's see. Yes. The attendant passed along once from the direction of the restaurant car. I caught a glimpse of his uniform. Then, I do remember some woman in a silk, scarlet something or other. Again, just a glimpse. She was headed the other way, towards the restaurant car.
Did you see her return?
No, now that you mention it, I don't think I did. But I suppose she must have.
What time was it that the Colonel left you?
Pretty late. Getting on for 2 o'clock, I'd say.
You were together when the train stopped.
Yeah, shook me up a bit. But the Colonel was as cool as ice water. He's been in some tough scrapes, I'd guess. A near train wreck didn't even make him blink.
What happened after Colonel Arbuthnot said goodnight?
I called the attendant to make up my bed, and then hit the sack.
What sack did you hit, and why?
I went to bed. Slept till morning.
Do you smoke a pipe, Monsieur McQueen?
Nope. Don't smoke at all, as a matter of fact. I know they say it's healthy, but I don't believe them.
During the evening, did you leave the train at all?
Only when Arbuthnot and I got out at Belgrade to stretch our legs. When we saw you. But it was bitterly cold, so we hopped back on again.
Which door did you use?
The one closest to here.
Do you remember if the door you used was bolted?
Yes, I seem to remember it was. At least there was a kind of bar that fitted across the handle.
Did you replace the bar when you returned to the train?
You know, I don't think I did. I remember now. I left it unbolted for you. Say, listen, since we know that Ratchet was really that swine Cassetti, there's something you should know.
Yes?
One night, late, after he'd received those threatening letters, I heard him working at my typewriter. He never did that. He always dictated his letters to me. From then on, wherever we were, he insisted on access to the safe. Whatever that document was, it was important enough that he traveled with it wherever we went. If there wasn't a safe available, he had one installed. I know for a fact he had one installed in the security room in the baggage car. I saw it when we were loading his crate.
Do you have the combination?
If he didn't trust me to type it for him, you really think he'd give me the combination?
Thank you most kindly, Monsieur McQueen. Nothing else to say.
Yes, miss?
Monsieur Masterman?
Yes?
My name is Antoinette Marceau. I'm assisting Monsieur Poirot in his inquiries.
Yes, the attendant has explained that to me. The service is quite good, I must say. I prize good service highly, of course. My compliments.
Thank you. I would like to ask you some questions.
Yes, I expect you would. I shall help in any way I can.
You are the valet of Monsieur Ratchet.
Yes,
May I have your passport, please?
of course. Here you are.
Your full name, age, and address.
Edward Henry Masterman, 51. 21 Friar Street, Clerkenwell.
When did you last see Monsieur Ratchet?
It must have been about 9:35 or 9:40 last night, miss.
I'd like to take your fingerprints.
That's a rather messy procedure, isn't it? Do you have something I might wipe my hands on afterwards?
Yes, I do.
Napkins? A wet cloth was beyond your capabilities? Well, I suppose they will have to do.
Thank you. Can you tell me what happened when you saw Monsieur Ratchet?
I went into Mr. Ratchet as usual, miss, and attended to his wants.
What were your duties exactly?
To fold or hang up his clothes, miss. Put his dental plate in water and see that he had everything he needed.
Was his manner the same as usual?
Well, miss, I think he was upset.
In what way upset?
Over our letter he'd been reading. He asked me if it was I who had put it in his compartment. Of course, I told him I hadn't done any such thing, but he swore at me and found fault with everything I did.
Did your master ever take a sleeping draught?
Always when traveling by train, miss. He said he couldn't sleep otherwise. Even the express affected him, I am sorry to say.
Did he take it last night?
I poured it into a glass and put it on the table for him, though I didn't actually see him drink it.
Was it unusual for him to swear at you?
Oh no, miss. He lost his temper easily. It just depended what had happened to upset him.
Do you know what drug he was in the habit of taking?
I couldn't say I'm sure, miss. There's no name on the bottle. Just sleeping draught. And to be taken at bedtime.
When was his usual bedtime, when aboard the train?
Midnight, miss, or later. With the avalanche last night, I fancy he wouldn't fall asleep until closer to 1.
Did you mix his usual dose of the sleeping draught?
A half dose only, miss, at Mr. Ratchet's request. I can't say the reason.
What happened next?
I asked him if there was anything else he required. He asked me to send for Mr. McQueen. Then I left him.
Was Monsieur Ratchet an early riser?
It depended, miss, upon his mood. Sometimes he'd get up for breakfast. Sometimes he wouldn't get up till just on lunchtime. I would wait until the attendant came to collect me.
Did you know that your master had enemies?
Yes, miss. I had heard him discussing some disquieting letters with Mr. McQueen.
Did you like your employer, Masterman?
I should hardly like to say that, miss. He was a generous employer.
But you didn't like him.
Shall we put it that I don't care very much for Americans, miss?
Do you know of any bad blood between your master and Monsieur McQueen?
No, miss. Mr. McQueen was a very pleasant gentleman. For an American.
How long have you been with Monsieur Ratchet?
Just over 9 months, miss. Before that, I was with Sir Henry Tomlinson in Grosvenor Square. I was with him for several years before he left for East Africa.
Have you ever been in America?
No, miss.
Do you remember the Armstrong kidnapping case?
Well, yes, I remember reading something about it. A little baby girl, wasn't it? Very shocking affair. But what has that...
Your employer, Monsieur Ratchet, was the man behind the kidnapping.
I'm at a loss for words, miss. I can hardly believe it.
Are you a pipe smoker?
No, miss. I only smoke cigarettes. Gaspers, miss.
What did you do after leaving your master?
I told Mr. McQueen, miss, that the master wanted him. Then I came along here to my compartment and read. I was in bed by 10:30.
Who do you share this room with?
A big Italian fellow.
Does he speak English?
A kind of English, miss. He's been in America. Chicago, I understand. He was in here playing cards with another American, a Mr. Hardman. The game broke up soon after I entered, and Mr. Hardman left.
Do you and the Italian gentleman talk together much?
No, miss. I prefer to read. At present, I'm quite enjoying Love's Captive by a Mrs. Arabella Richardson. At about 10:30, the Italian fellow wanted to go to bed, so the attendant came in and made the beds up.
Did you go to bed then?
I went to bed, but I didn't sleep, miss. I had a toothache.
I am so sorry. Was your toothache painful?
Most painful, miss. I applied some oil of cloves, which relieved the pain a little, but I still was not able to get to sleep. I turned the light on over my berth and continued to read, to take my mind off of it, as it were.
You did not sleep at all?
I finally dropped off about 4 this morning.
Did the Italian gentleman sleep?
Him? Oh, he snored. I confess I envied Mr. Ratchet his sleeping draught, miss.
Did your companion leave the compartment at all during the night?
No, miss.
Did you leave the compartment at all?
No, miss.
Did you hear anything during the night?
I don't think so, miss. The train being at a standstill made it all very quiet.
That will be enough. Quite interesting.